Welcome to the November 18th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pat, you call it.
Council Whalen.
Here.
Council Zimmer. Here. Council Romano.
Here.
Council Wallace. Here. Vice President.
Here. Take a motion to approve Town Board meeting minutes of November 4th and for the budget public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallowit. Discussion.
Council Whalen.
Yes.
Council Stennard. Yes. Council Romano.
Yes.
Council Wallace. Yes. Vice President.
Yes, communications and announcements. Anybody that would like to, any announcements? Okay, Pat, what about the not-so-common players? Finished up another run, right?
And in April, we will be presenting I Love You, The Perfect Act Change.
Oh.
And that will be in the library again.
Okay.
But in December, we have an adaptation of A Christmas Carol that will be in the Little Theater in the high school. And those dates
Returning.
are 13, 14, 15. It's only one weekend. 13, 14, and 15 of December in the Little Theater.
And that'll be the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and that is, we received a grant from Saratoga Arts that is through New York State Arts. So we received, I believe it was $5,000 grant.
Ebenezer Scrooge will be there and
It's an adaptation.
full force. I am not playing at Ebenezer Scrooge, by the way. I only do that here at Town Hall, at Town Board meetings. But you just had a great run with Charlie Brown, right? Yeah. So they had several shows at the library over the last couple of weeks, and congratulate them, not-so-common players, on another good string of performances. Also want to thank the YMCA. They had a wonderful veterans event last weekend. The Senior Center, over here at the Senior Center, we honored veterans that came and told us about their service, whether it was 50 years ago or 5 years ago. And there were just many veterans events that take place in and around our community. And I just want to thank all of the organizations that take the time to thank our veterans each and every year. We can't thank them enough for the sacrifice. We can't thank their families enough for the sacrifice. Because when our troops are deployed, family sacrifice, that is for sure. Their loved one is no longer at home, could be gone for 6 months, a year and a half. And we see that too with the airlift wing. You know, they're not going to the Middle East, they're not going to necessarily hostile places, but they are leaving their families for an extended period of time. So it can be a hardship in many ways. So anything we can do to support them, we should certainly do. Along those lines, you know, I know that people are asked to donate to wonderful causes in town throughout the year. And we thank you. Clifton Park is most giving community that I've ever been a part of or known of. So I want to thank everybody for everything you do for our community. But we do have 3 very good causes right here at Town Hall. And there are receptacles right here in the foyer that are accepting donations of many kinds to support various groups of individuals, veterans, people that are down on their luck and need some help. So just a small donation. The next time you're at the store and pick up, when you're buying your toiletries, maybe pick up a couple of extra bottles of shampoo or some toothpaste or something, and collect it over a couple of weeks. And if you can bring it to Town Hall and share it with people that could really use it, we'd appreciate it. So again, more information is right out here. There's information on each receptacle out here in the foyer. All right, let's get down to business. So, gentleman is here, Clifton Park resident Dave Dittmer. He's here to talk about Brookside Museum. David, how are you tonight?
Thank you, Supervisor Barrett. Appreciate the opportunity. Councilwomen and councilmen, thank you also.
Thank you.
Secretary, I'm Dave Dittmer from 42 Canterbury Road in Clifton Park here in Sherwood Forest. I am a Board of Trustee member on the Saratoga County Historical Society, which is based at Brookside Museum. So we're recognizable in Ballston Spa with this huge old building, but we are a county-wide organization. Several other trustees are here tonight with me in support of this, and we have quite a few members of the Clifton Park community that volunteer at the museum and with the society in support of genealogy services, research services, school programs, and they've been going on for quite a few years. I'm talking tonight on behalf of our board chairman, Irv Murray, who can't be here tonight, and our museum director, Michelle Arthur, who's also obligated with some child care issues, so she asked me to cover for her. So I'll hopefully take just a few minutes of your time. And as Supervisor Barrett talked about, I'll try to make a case for more of a giving spirit and less of a Scrooge spirit. So just on behalf of the supporters from the community and our organization who are here tonight, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to talk about our current situation. Just to introduce me a little bit, I'm not a businessman, I'm not a historical curator, I'm a retired naval officer. I came to this community 7 years ago, but I've always had a deep and abiding commitment to history. So when I had the opportunity to find a leadership position in the community, and I was offered to step up on the board at the History Society, I said, yeah, that would be a great thing to build on my passion. As I said, I'm not a businessman, but I am very much vested in the community. I'm the chairman of the Sherwood Forest Parks District. I'm a leader of the Knights of Columbus. My family is also very involved, so we believe very strongly in giving back to the community, and we're trying our best. Since 1971, the Saratoga County History Society has been based at Brookside Museum, and they've served thousands of school children and adults throughout our county community. Sheep to Shawl, which is a very well-known program, which probably many of the students in the room have been to, has served over 50,000 children over the 41 years of the program about sustainability, local history, and traditional agriculture and crafts. So far this year, there have been nearly 4,000 local school children who benefited from our many on-site and in-classroom programs, including Shakti Khan Elementary School, whose teachers have brought students to our programs for many years. I stand before you tonight as kind of a citizen concerned about the future of our Saratoga Springs history and community. Since our founding as a nonprofit organization, we've worked on a shoestring budget. Frankly, as a lot of nonprofits are, we rely on volunteers, we rely on part-time employees, we rely on the very generous giving of some businesses, some benefactors, and some communities to preserve the important history of our county, but it's really been a very failing business model. Some of you may have seen the article in the Schenectady Gazette a couple weeks ago. We're at the point where we're having to consider closing our doors because we can't afford to continue to operate with the business model we've got. That's regrettable, and when we first started talking about this, there was a groundswelling of popular energy to try to find a better way to do this. The Saratoga County History Roundtable, which is our partner, involving all the county municipal historians like John Shearer, got very energized. They did a grassroots campaign. We raised over $13,000 in the last couple of weeks from just private donors. We've also gone out to a couple of municipalities already. We talked at the town of Milton. We talked at the town of Ballston town meetings last month. The town of Ballston approved a $20,000 one-time grant to keep the doors open, which was great. Town of Milton, Supervisor Ostrander, who was the supervisor when we met, was in favor of a $20,000 grant for one-time help also. Now Supervisor-elect Zlotnick said he would look for a more sustaining gift from the town of Milton. So those are great. Tomorrow, the board members and I will go to the County Board of Supervisors and we'll make a pitch for county funding. The Saratoga County History Society did benefit from county funding for many years. About 5 years ago, that was withdrawn with a policy change, and we've really suffered from that. We've also suffered from the loss of state funding. We had several grants that the rules at the state have changed, and we've lost those grants. So we've lost over $30,000 a year in county and state grants in the last couple of years, and that's really put us in extremis. We're also going to meet with the other local municipalities in Saratoga County. We're going to go throughout the county and ask for some help. We have a meeting set up with Galway, and then we'll be contacting the other boards in the near future. What we're trying to do with this campaign is establish a two-phase process. We're looking to raise $50,000 before the end of this calendar year. Like I said, we've already got $20,000 from the town of Ballston. We've got several other offers that put us close to that at this point. And then we're looking to raise another $50,000 in the beginning of 2020 to get us to a point where we can sustain growth going forward. In parallel with getting those one-time funding sources, we're establishing a new business model. We're hiring a professional fundraiser and re-energizing that committed community team that I talked about to augment the board. The board has been about 12 volunteers over the past several years that we've tried, and we worked really hard on some fundraisers and some good ideas. We could always use new blood, new ideas, and new spirit. So we're working to get a professional and enduring footing for the museum and the History Society, but we're looking for, as I said, both near-term funding to keep the doors open, keep the heat on, keep the lights on, and pay the 4 part-time staff members we've got. Our total budget for staff is about $80,000 a year, so this is not a luxurious big event. This is a small-time thing, but if we keep those folks sustained, keep the lights on, keep the heat on, we continue to provide the service to the county. So right now what I'd like to do is propose it for your consideration that Clifton Park step up along with the other municipalities and provide some type of financial support to the Saratoga County Historical Society. Obviously, I'm not giving you a proposal to move on tonight, but for your consideration. Obviously, you could go and follow in the footsteps of Milton and Ballston and give a large donation at one time. Or I would encourage, if you would consider, a smaller donation that would be sustained over several years to help seed that long-term sustainable business model that I talked about. We're going to reach out to the business community also. We have some existing partners like Ballston Spa National Bank, Stewart's, several others that have traditionally given a lot to our museum. Hasn't been enough, so we're going to look for a kind of a sustainable pledge commitment. If Clifton Park would be willing to do that, we would be very happy, and I think the town and the county would benefit from that long term.
Dave, can you give us an idea of exactly what is at the museum? In the form of artifacts, and we talked a little bit about the programs and who they might benefit, but in the form of artifacts and other programs that are available to county residents that I'm sure many people don't even know about.
Absolutely. We're more than happy to publicize the good stuff that we do. We have over 30,000 items in our collection. Most center on local history. So there's a lot of farming implements, a lot of local architectural records. There's an extensive genealogy library. We have the county's genealogy. We have volunteer servants that are in there facilitating genealogy searches with our resource library. We probably have over 10,000 volumes of books and reference material that we use in support of that genealogy. We run programs both for youth and for adults. Some of the youth programs, we do an annual archaeology camp where we have students for a week actually digging up artifacts. We have a professional historian that helps them catalog it. I mentioned sheep to shawl, where we have a local agricultural specialist in sheep farming, give demonstrations of shearing. We do a Native New York program at schools where we'll go around the county and we'll present Native American-oriented agricultural products, building on our history in the community. And we also do a lot of senior center presentations about local history. We support that Saratoga County History Roundtable that I mentioned, and they go around the whole county providing history presentations. There was one recently at Bruce Tavern. So we're outreaching throughout the community, not just at the museum. If you've been near the museum recently, you've seen our chicken exhibit. It was quite a successful exhibit, and we did get a state grant for about the poultry industry in Saratoga County and the history of that. We gave a very good presentation and a display for several months earlier this year about World War I in Saratoga County and the Spanish influenza. That got some coverage in the Times Union also. So it's a broad and diverse historical collection and education programs.
Very good. Yeah, I think that's important for people to know. During our budget workshop today at the county, the topic did come up. So there was some discussion there as well, for your information.
Great.
So you'll be there tomorrow? Okay, good. Any questions for Dave? Yes, Jim?
My memory may be off from what I've seen either in the Exhibit or the Times Union. Is the issue with funding more for the Historical Society, or is it for the building itself, Brookside Museum, or the sort of interrelated?
We are intertwined.
Yeah.
Brookside Museum is an asset of the Saratoga County Society. That's where we have our meetings and our collections, and we do all our exhibits. And we obviously serve outside that museum building. The building is one of our assets and liabilities. It's a building from the 1700s, so as you could understand, it takes a lot of maintenance, takes a lot of heating and electrical repairs as well as costs. We're doing our best to get an upgrade to be Energy Star certified, so we don't end up leaking all the money out the windows through our insulation, but it's a challenging effort. So it's both the museum itself, the building, and the historical society.
Any other questions for Dave? Yes.
Dave, you said 80,000 was your labor. What's your total budget?
Total budget is between 150 and 200,000 a year in outlay, and then we're bringing in somewhere close to that between all the fundraisers we're doing. Right now, as I said, we're ending up in the red more than we're in the black. For the past 5 years, we've ended the year in the red. Right now, we're about 25,000 in debt with the line of credit, and we don't have the funding stream in the near term to satisfy that unless we continue to get these grants.
And when you say changing the business plan, you mentioned hiring a professional fundraiser. Are there any other steps that that you're taking to change the culture or the business plan, the revenue stream?
We've worked with a group of retired business executives who do volunteer service to nonprofits called SCORE.
Oh, yes.
And they've met with us several times. We've crafted a strategic plan. We're working on getting that business model. We've got a new statement that we can give out to businesses, clarifying our mission and why it's a good thing to be donating service to the Saratoga County History Society. And then we're reinvigorating the boards I talked about and the professional staff structure.
Do you have financial records, audited financial statements and budget and things of that nature that you could supply?
Certainly.
That also came up at the budget workshop today. That question was asked if any of that information had been supplied to the county. The answer was no, that we received. So there might be something that you may want to submit to the county as well.
Certainly.
Great. Any other questions? Well, Dave, very well said. I appreciate you taking the time to be here and talking to us about Brookside, and I'm sure everybody learned a little something about Brookside. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before?
Thank you very much for the time and your consideration, and I'm more than willing to answer any questions you got either tonight or in follow-on engagements.
Great. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
And if you could give me a call in the morning.
Certainly.
Yeah, just a couple minutes.
I can give you the address where you can send the check.
A couple tips. I know where you live. I just wanted to give you a couple tidbits of information about that might be helpful. So, all right, very good. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, fellow trustees of Brookside. Appreciate it. We do have several resolutions for consideration. Pat, if you could read through those, please.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of an HP wide format printer from WB Mason under state contract to the planning department and allowing for the relocation of an existing multi-function printer. Whereas the planning department has requested town board approval to purchase an HP Design Jet SD Pro 44 multi-function printer, and whereas Director Scavo has located an HP Design Jet SD Pro 44, which is suitable for departmental needs and integrates with existing software available from a currently valid New York State contract. And whereas the building department has also demonstrated a need for an MFP that is compatible with the existing computer network to scan, copy, and print commercial and residential building plans, and have requested that the current MFP be relocated to the building department. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves of the planning department's purchase of an HP Design Jet SD Pro 44 MFP to replace the department's current MFP, and the current MFP in the planning department will be relocated to the building department upon arrival and setup of the new MFP in the planning department. And be it further resolved that the town board authorizes $5,000, and these line items are listed from one line item, $1,700 for another, and $3891 from another, all to be transferred to line item 8021-200. Be further resolved that the controller is authorized to pay an amount not to exceed $12,090.23 from that line item for the purchase and set up from the WB Mason as delineated in the attached quote, and in accordance with New York State contract. To be further resolved that the existing linear LW310 scanner printer in the building department is declared surplus equipment. A resolution authorizing the purchase of the compact truck loader for highway department purposes from Clark Equipment Company under New York State contract. Whereas Highway Superintendent Dan Bull has requested authorization for the purchase of a T595 T4 Bobcat compact truck loader with accessories for the highway department per detached, and whereas the equipment is available under New York State contract in an amount not to exceed $47,846.46, including optional accessories and dealer assembly charges, and whereas Mr. Bull has recommended that the T595 T4 Bobcat be purchased to best meet the needs of the department, and whereas the equipment is available from Clark Equipment Company, doing business as Bobcat Company, Government Sales, West Fargo, North Dakota. Now therefore be it resolved that the Highway Department is authorized to purchase one T595 T4 Bobcat compact truck loader and accessories per detached, and be it further resolved that the town board authorizes the purchase of the state contract in an amount not to exceed $47,846.46 to be paid with funds from the Key Bank lease, and be further resolved that two existing loaders, a 1989 Bobcat and a 2001 Gill loader, shall be declared as surplus equipment, and the Highway Department is authorized to sell the surplus equipment as is at an upcoming auction. A resolution authorizing Denise Johnson to serve alcoholic beverages at a gathering to be held at Cruise Tavern on November 30th, 2019. Whereas Denise Johnson is hosting a gathering at Cruise Tavern and has requested permission to sell alcohol in the form of beer and wine at the event, and whereas Denise Johnson has submitted a permit application for use of Cruise Tavern on November 30th, 2019 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for a gathering, and therefore be it resolved that Denise Johnson, Meadow Run Clifton Park, is hereby authorized to serve beer and wine at a gathering to be held at Cruise Tavern on November 30th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. A resolution adopting the 2020 budget for the town of Clifton Park. Whereas a public hearing was held on the preliminary budget on November 7th, 2019 to obtain comment from the public regarding the proposed budget for 2020, and whereas the comments of the public have been incorporated into the proposed budget, and therefore be resolved, the 2020 town of Clifton Park budget is hereby adopted. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an agreement with Environmental Design Partnership for surveying property at 110 Ashdown Road pursuant to the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Farmland Protection Implementation Grant Program. Whereas by correspondence dated December 27, 2018, the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets advised the town that the property had been selected for grant program funding relative to acquisition of an interest in the Maple Hill Farm, Ashdown Road, Boston Lake. And whereas by Resolution 150 of 2019, the town board approved a master grant contract with the State Department of Agriculture and Markets for participating in the Farmland Protection Implementation Grant Program. And whereas the town attorney's office requested quotes for survey work at Maple Hill Farm pursuant to requirements of the FPIG program. And whereas Environmental Design Partnership submitted the lowest conforming quote at $9,000 for such work. Now therefore be resolved that the town board accepts the quoted price from Environmental Design Partnership for a cost of no more than $9,000, and there's a line item listed, for all work as described in the request for quotes. Be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign an agreement with Environmental Design Partnership for surveying the property known as Maple Hill Farm relative to the New York State Agriculture and Markets FPIG program.
Very good, thank you, Pat. Any questions on the resolutions? Okay, seeing none. Pat, if you could read the headings and we'll consider each resolution individually.
This is resolution number 223 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the purchase of an HP wide format printer from WB Mason under state contract for the planning department and allowing for the relocation of the existing multi-function printer.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Mrs. Standard. Why do you need a new printer, John?
Yes, the biggest reason why is the existing printer works so well. The building department, as part of its digitalization efforts, is taking its existing building permit files in paper format and scanning them to electronic. Large format blueprints scan and actually come out better than the original smudged images or paper copies often, because the computer actually adjusts and makes corrections to some of those images. So the building department, just from a staffing resource standpoint, they have a need for a plotter similar to mine, but primarily scanning purposes. So by transferring mine to them, I'll get the latest and greatest model because I use all three, the scanning, the printing, and the copying feature. They'll use all three also, but scanning would be their primary function. I can say that the first plotter that the town bought in 2004, which was also an HP, which only has printing capabilities, is still used to this day by Mike O'Brien and is actually in his office. So we've had very good luck with HP off the state contract. It allows us to scan images and send them directly to the contractors by email, so it reduces the cost for reproduction for residents to come in, file a FOIL request for a contractor. We can just scan by the way of a phone call, scan an image, or if it's already scanned, have it sent out within 2 minutes of the call to whoever may need the documentation. And again, this is really large blueprint copies that are permanent records that we need to keep.
Well, we certainly got our money's worth out of that printer. We're still using it today, so it's amazing, the technology with these large format printers and scanners now. It's just phenomenal. Saves the personnel at town hall a whole lot of time. Plus, we, as John mentioned, we get information to people that ask for it much quicker. So, and electronically, which is a big help instead of plugging around big rolls of sheets, right? All right. Any comments from the board? All right. Pat?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 224, 2019, resolution authorizing the purchase of compact track leader for highway department for purposes from Clark Equipment Company under New York State contract.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walwood. When do you plan on having another auction?
As soon as we pass this resolution, we're going to have with this resolution, 2 of our skid steers are going to go on auction. We're going to wait until the end of winter to do another assessment and see what needs to go.
So you're going to do it at the end of winter?
This one specifically, or another one?
No, just the next auction. I mean, don't you put a few things together
Oh,
and have an auction?
It doesn't cost us a penny to go out to auction.
Right.
So we can do it whenever we would like to, at no cost. So in the intermediate future, if Buildings and Grounds or Sewer wants to throw something on, we're more than happy to help out.
All right. Any discussion? Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 225 of 2019, a resolution authorizing Denise Johnson to serve alcoholic beverages at gatherings to be held at Goulds Tavern on November 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. When somebody is using a town facility, if they want to serve alcohol, they do need town board approval to do so, and that's why this is on the agenda tonight. Okay. Okay, Pat?
Council Whalen?
Yes.
Council Standard?
Yes.
Council Romano?
Yes.
Council Ballwood? Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Resolution number 226 of 2019, a resolution adopting the 2020 budget for the township of Park.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Mrs. Standard. Always a long process, the budget process each year. We completed the budget workshops, held the public hearing, and now tonight is the final approval. So I want to thank the town board for their efforts during this process. I want to thank Mark Hagan in particular for doing all the grunt work, making sure all the numbers are entered in the right place and everything adds up the way it should be. So I want to thank him for doing a lot of number crunching, both for the budget and the tax cap process, which is a whole different process that we need to complete. And as we said during the budget process, the town remained within the tax cap with this budget that is up for consideration this evening. So, good job, Mark. Any questions for Mark, myself? Any comments? Okay. Pat?
Council Whalen?
Yes.
Council Standard?
Yes.
Council Romano?
Yes.
Council Ballwood? Yes. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Resolution number 227 of 2019, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an agreement with Environmental Design Partnership for surveying property at 110 Ashdown Road pursuant to the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Farmland Protection Implementation Grant Program.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallwood. We're very pleased to announce the fact that the town was able to win a grant in partnership with the Schwartz family, who own Maple Hill Farm. And this will be the fourth farm that we've been able to permanently protect in the town of Clifton Park. We're very pleased with this outcome. As part of the process, the state requires a survey. So we put a bid out to survey the property, and we received 3 bidders. Environmental Design Partnership was the low bidder at $9,000. So the other 2 were $10,500 and $11,000. So this is a required part of the process. For those that don't know where the farm is located, if you're on 146A heading towards Ballston, when you get to the intersection of Ashdown and 146A, if you look to your left, and again you're going towards Ballston, if you look to your left, a beautiful picturesque piece of property there. You usually see a few horses out there grazing, and that's Maple Hill Farm. So it's a beautiful piece of property, but it's also high profile, one that I'm sure many of us drive by every day. And the next time you do, you'll say, oh, that's that farm that the crazy guy at the town board meeting was talking about. So we're very pleased to, again, partner with the Schwartz family, and we're always looking for new opportunities to partner with our larger landowners and our farmers to further promote our efforts to preserve not only farmland, but generally open space, parks and recreational opportunities. Now, over, how many, Pat? How many acres?
1,800.
Yeah, oh, at least.
Almost
It might
2,000.
be 80,000 acres.
We're
Pat?
talking Opus.
We're 3 on stand.
But no building. No building.
No, Pat was right the first time. You know, she likes it when I talk about acreage, miles.
I love it.
Yeah, she always puts it in the minutes, which is good. So. But we've had I'll just say we've had a very successful preservation program since 2000, and we've exponentially increased our parks and recreational network. How's that, Pat?
That's good.
All right, good. All right, very good. What's that?
Still for board?
Yes, absolutely. Any questions, comments about this very positive program or initiative? Okay, Pat?
Councilman Whalen? Councilman Standar?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Holloway? Supervisor Bell?
Yes. Pat's retiring, so, you know, we only have a few more meetings left to go back and forth here. Oh, what I'm gonna do on January 1st. Town board meetings just won't be the same after 20 years. Any other business, any other business to come before the board this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward. State your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Anybody that would like to speak this evening? Any of the students here that would like to speak this evening? Well, this is our third meeting of the month, so we have a pretty light agenda, which is normal for the third meeting. We will be back in December. Have no fear. So, and I'm sure most of the students here will be back as well.
This is blood drive. December 11th, blood drive, right here in this room.
Blood drive in this room, December 11th.
June 6th.
You can call noon to 6. You can call the clerk's office to make an appointment, right? And even though it's a blood drive in a government building, I assure you it's voluntary. So, but in all seriousness, our community, our area always needs blood. So give if you can. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whalen.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standar?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Holloway? Supervisor Bell?
Yes, thank you.